Baralho believes Robert Whittaker may be nearing retirement. In a recent interview, Brazilian middleweight CIO Baralho made headlines with his candid thoughts on the current state of Robert Whittaker's career, while preparing for his upcoming fight against Nassourdine Imavov at UFC Paris on September 6. Baralho spoke openly to the Schmo and didn't hold back when asked about the former middleweight champion. Despite showing deep respect, Baralho suggested that Whittaker might be reaching the end of his fighting days. Robert Whittaker is a legend. I'm a big fan. I respect everything he's done for the sport. He's absolutely one of the GOATs in the middleweight division. Baralho began, but even with that admiration, he couldn't ignore what he's been seeing lately. Baralho pointed to Whittaker's most recent FIDE split decision. Loss to Ikram Aleskrava as a telling moment. I watched that fight and something just didn't look right. His body language, his eyes, it didn't look like someone who still wants this. It looked like someone who's tired. Someone who's had enough. When asked if he thought Whittaker still had the fire for a 5-round war, Baralho responded without hesitation. I don't think he wants to go through that kind of battle again. I just don't believe that anymore. Whittaker has been a cornerstone of the UFC middleweight division for years, going toe-to-toe with the likes of Israel Adesanya, Yoel Romero, Jared Cannonier, and Marvin Vettori. His journey has been nothing short of a roller coaster, racking up wins, taking damage, rebounding from losses, and always staying in the mix. But Baralho believes the mental side of Whittaker's game might be slipping. Sometimes it's not about the skill, he explained. It's about the drive, the hunger. When you've been at the top, defended belts, headlined events, and fought the toughest fights over and over again, you eventually get tired. And I feel like that's what's happening with Robert. It's not that he can't do it, it's that he might not want to anymore. Still, Baralho emphasized that he's not writing Whittaker off or calling for his retirement. With all due respect, I'm just calling it like I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe he comes back stronger than ever, but based on what I've seen lately, it just doesn't look like it's his moment anymore. I think he's very close to retirement tour, something like that. Whether Whittaker truly is nearing the end of his fighting career or simply going through a rough patch remains to be seen. But when someone as thoughtful and respectful as Chael Baralho speaks so honestly, it's something fans and analysts alike are paying close attention to. Before we move on to the next news update, a quick favor: if you enjoy this content and want to stay updated with all the latest MMA headlines, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Moving on to the second major update, Sean O'Malley recently shared his thoughts on the highly anticipated title fight between Merab Dvalishvili and Corey Sandhagen. In a recent interview, O'Malley provided some genuinely insightful analysis on the matchup. Whether you're a fan of his or not, there's no denying that Sean knows how to break down a fight. He began by highlighting that if Merab is able to get a solid grip on Corey, it could be a long night for Sandhagen. According to O'Malley, Merab's relentless pressure, raw strength, and seemingly endless gas tank might be the deciding factors. However, he made it clear that he isn't counting Corey out. In fact, Sean showed a great deal of respect for Corey's skill set, particularly how well he performed against Umar Nurmagomedov in their grueling matchup. Sean pointed out how Corey managed to create scrambles, keep his hips elevated, and avoid allowing Umar to dominate positionally, something that's extremely difficult to do against a fighter of Umar's caliber. But O'Malley also drew a key distinction. While both Umar and Merab are exceptional grapplers, their styles differ drastically. Umar is methodical and precise, while Merab is pure chaos, relentless in pressure and always looking to grind his opponent down. If Merab gets a hold of Corey, Sean said, I just don't see him letting go. He feels incredibly strong, especially in clinch and wrestling positions. His gas tank is just ridiculous. You push him off, and he's right back on you in half a second. Pressed for a prediction, Sean admitted he'd lean slightly towards Merab, but he emphasized that Corey is one of the most skilled fighters in the entire UFC. He's got more tools than Merab, O'Malley said, but what Merab does have, he's a master of. It's like Khabib. You know what's coming, and you still can't stop it. Looking ahead, Sean also spoke about a potential future clash with Corey Sandhagen. If Corey were to beat Merab and call him out for a title defense, would Sean accept? Absolutely, he responded. Even if I'm coming off 2 losses, if the UFC offers me a title fight against Corey, I'm not turning it down. That's a fight I've wanted for a long time and one I believe is destined to happen. In fact, Sean revealed that he once tried to make that fight happen on short notice. When the co-main event for Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier fell apart, Sean offered to step in and face Corey within 3 weeks. But the timing didn't work out, and the UFC had other plans. Still, O'Malley made one thing clear: he and Corey are on a collision course. Title or not, that fight is coming. It's just a matter of when. In a recent interview with BWAY, UFC middleweight champion Dricus du Plessis opened up about the toughest and most technical fights of his career, and one name stood above the rest: Israel Adesanya. When asked to reflect on the most difficult opponent he has ever faced in the octagon, du Plessis didn't hesitate. "That's a hard question to answer," he said. "But if we're talking about the best guy I ever faced in his domain, then yeah, it's Adesanya." That statement speaks volumes. This wasn't just about brute force, it was about elite, skilled. Du Plessis, now holding the UFC's middleweight crown, admitted that the Adesanya fight made him more nervous than any other. "I had looked up to him," he shared. "I had studied him for years. He was the benchmark." Imagine stepping into the cage against a man who ruled the division for years, someone you admired, watched, and analyzed long before the matchup was ever booked. Knowing what Adesanya is capable of gave du Plessis chills. He can catch you at any time. He's so sharp. Despite defeating Adesanya, du Plessis wasn't fooled by the result. He knows just how dangerous he still is. That fight was more than a title bout, it was a masterclass in high-level striking. Between two of the best in the game, du Plessis described it as a tough night at the office for both of us. However, he made an interesting the question was about sheer toughness. Other fighters deserve mention too. Guys like Brad Tavares or Sean Strickland, he said, they can take a beating. Those were battles. Strickland, in particular, is known as one of the grittiest fighters on the roster, relentlessly walking forward, absorbing punishment, and continuing to press. Tavares, a longtime veteran, is as durable as they come. Still, from a technical standpoint, du Plessis made it clear: Adesanya was the best I've ever faced. That's high praise from the reigning champion, a man who not only beat Adesanya but also outclassed numerous others to reach the top of the middleweight division. Even in defeat, Israel Adesanya commands the respect of his peers, a true testament to his greatness. As for du Plessis, his reign is just beginning. But with statements like these, he's showing he knows exactly where the bar is and he's ready to raise it. Let's dive into another major development that has the MMA world buzzing. Khabib Nurmagomedov has just confirmed that Usman Nurmagomedov will face Paul Hughes again. That's right, the highly anticipated rematch is officially happening. After months of speculation, the announcement came straight from Khabib himself. Usman Nurmagomedov versus Paul Hughes 2 is set for October 4th in Dubai. If you've been following the PFL closely, you'll remember how controversial their first encounter was. Usman won via majority decision, but it was far from decisive. Many fans and analysts believed Paul Hughes had done enough to secure the win, especially with his performance in the later rounds. While it wasn't a robbery, the outcome split the MMA community right down the middle. Now, the score will be settled. What made the announcement even more intense was how casually Khabib dropped the news during an interview. His tone, however, revealed just how important this rematch truly is. "That fight was hard last time," Khabib said. "Now we'll see how they deal with damage. I always tell them, don't ask for advice. Deal with it yourself. That's how you grow." A signature Khabib mindset: tough love and self-accountability. There's massive pressure on Usman, who remains one of the most technically sound and composed lightweights in the PFL. Although he's undefeated, the close call in his last fight showed a chink in the armor. Meanwhile, Paul Hughes has been on an impressive run. The Irish standout has earned immense respect for his grit, fight IQ, and all-around skill set. His confidence is sky-high heading into the rematch. Hughes firmly believes he won the first fight, and he's determined to leave no doubt this time. With the venue set in Dubai, this is more than just a fight, it's an event. Usman carries the legacy of Dagestani dominance and will enjoy strong regional support. On the other hand, Paul Hughes will be entering hostile territory, ready to shock the world. This isn't just a rematch, it's a clash of styles, philosophies, and mental fortitude. The question now, will Usman tighten the gaps and silence the critics, or will Paul Hughes rise again and force the world to recognize his greatness? October 4th, mark your calendars. The PFL's most electrifying lightweight rivalry is about to be reignited. Let's move on to a very intriguing development in the MMA world. Michael Venom Page, better known as MVP, has officially set his sights on a potential showdown with the reigning UFC welterweight champion, Leon Edwards. Yes, you heard that right. Even though MVP has recently been competing in the middleweight division, taking on top-tier names like Sure Bullet, and with a fight booked against Jared Cannonier, his heart is still at welterweight. That's where he wants to make his mark. In a recent appearance on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, MVP didn't hold back. When asked about a fight with Edwards, he responded confidently, "Leon Edwards is a great matchup for the UK. For that fight to happen next year, and yes, it would be at welterweight. If that fight's on the table, I accept it 100%. I want it to happen in the UK, that's where it makes the most sense." That's a bold challenge. Not only is MVP calling out the champion, but he's also proposing a blockbuster showdown on British soil, something that would surely sell out in minutes. A Michael Page vs. Leon Edwards main event in the UK. That's not just a fight, it's an event, but it raises an important question. Why is MVP still taking fights at middleweight? If his ultimate goal is at 170 pounds, he answered that too. I want to make noise, he explained. Right now, nobody at welterweight is bringing the fire. It's all politics. Who can you fight? Who's even available? I called out everybody and got no response. So I said, okay, I'll just get another fight at middleweight. He went on to praise Jared Cannonier, saying Cannonier is an amazing fighter. Sharing the cage with him is an honor. MVP's strategy is clear. He's not waiting around for the perfect moment. He's staying active, staying visible, and keeping pressure on the welterweight division all while proving himself in another weight class. And let's be honest, a win over Jared Cannonier, who's currently ranked number 8 at middleweight, would be a massive statement. It would put MVP on the radar in the UFC rankings and build serious momentum regardless of division. Still, there's no question that Leon Edwards remains the ultimate prize for MVP. This fight isn't just about chasing the belt, it's about legacy. Two elite UK fighters, both flashy strikers with huge fan bases, going head-to-head in front of a home crowd. That's the kind of matchup that could headline a stadium card in the UK, make international headlines, and carve out a legendary chapter. In MMA history.now, the question becomes, when will the UFC pull the trigger? Until then, all eyes are on MVP's upcoming bout with Cannonier. But once that's settled, you can be sure the Leon Edwards conversation will heat up again. This story is far from over. And as a final note, Chael Sonnen has weighed in with another bold prediction. He believes the UFC is quietly setting up Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan as the next blockbuster lightweight clash. Arman Tsarukyan versus Ilia Topuria. Chael Sonnen says it's already in motion despite Ilia Topuria publicly claiming he'd rather vacate his lightweight title than face Arman Tsarukyan. Chael Sonnen isn't buying it. In a bold statement to MMA Junkie, Sonnen asserted, outside of illness or injury, this is not just my opinion. I'm telling you a fact. It's going to be Arman versus Ilia. That's 100% the plan. According to Sonnen, there's been a strategic shift behind the scenes. He revealed personal insights that hint at a bigger picture. I was the best man at Arman's wrestling coach's wedding. His coach is Daryl Christian. I've also spoken to coach Sam Calavita, who's been working closely with Kamzat. And guess who was in the room during a recent session? Arman. Sonnen believes Arman's location, the company he keeps, and the private conversations happening around him are not coincidences. He also pointed out that Ilia might be playing a calculated game, whether intentionally or not. Referring to Ilia's recent public refusal to take the fight, Sonnen said, "That's the trap. That's what great fighters do." He compared this strategy to that of Anderson Silva, who often initially denied fights, let speculation build, sometimes even planted false injury reports to stir hype, and then accepted the fight, making headlines. Sonnen argues that Ilia may be following a similar playbook, knowingly or not, and the UFC thrives on this kind of drama. It generates tension, headlines, and ultimately pay-per-view sales. As for Arman Tsarukyan, Sonnen believes that timing couldn't be more perfect. Arman has gone through absolute purgatory to get here. He's paid his dues. He stayed patient while guys like Paddy Pimblett grabbed the spotlight. He fought killers, endured brutal training camps, passed all licensing hurdles, and stayed ready. Now, it's finally his moment. From a matchup perspective, Sonnen insists Arman is the toughest test for Ilia. Right now, fans love Ilia. He's hot, undefeated, champion of the world. But if Arman gets his hands on you, you've got a problem. Arman's relentless wrestling, pressure and grind could neutralize Ilia's striking, while Ilia's speed, power, and precision could shut Arman down on the feet. It's a chess match between two elite, hungry young fighters, one with the belt, the other with undeniable momentum. Despite Ilia's denials and public hesitation, Chael Sonnen is confident. This fight is coming. The UFC wants it. The fans want it. And soon, Ilia and Arman will collide.